tonight on Ctv3 News. U.S. Embassy confirms deportation of American fugitive Gregory Roth from Belize. Families of the three women who died as a result of carbon monoxide poisoning call for accountability in hotel safety standards. Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association protests Prime Minister John Briceños' shift of industry oversight amid concerns of corporate influence. The Prime Minister responds. And 14,000 PPE gowns for the Northern Regional Hospital. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Thursday, March 27, 2025.
Coming soon, Pro FC 16. Get ready for an electrifying night of combat sports as Pro FC takes over the Princess Vegas Hotel and Casino in Corazon on Saturday, May 17th, 2025. Witness 14 adrenaline-fueled fights featuring the fiercest competitors from Belize, Mexico, Canada, and Guatemala, all battling for glory and supremacy in the ring. Pro FC 16. Don't just watch the action. Be part of it. Pro FC 16, exclusive on the Express Plus app.
Good evening with your news, also simulcast on Face FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. The families of three women from Revere, Massachusetts, 23-year-old Qatar Naquad, 24-year-old Iman Mala, and 26-year-old Wafe Al-Arar, who tragically died while vacationing in Belize, have issued a heartfelt statement following a confirmation from the U.S. Embassy that the cause of death was acute carbon monoxide poisoning, likely due to a faulty instant water heater. In their recent statement, the families expressed their devastation over the loss of their loved ones, but acknowledged the thorough and independent investigation conducted by officials. While we remain shattered by the loss of these three bright lights in our world, we are incredibly heartened by the results of this investigation and grateful to those who completed it in a thorough and independent manner, stated the families. At the same time, the families continue to express frustration regarding the initial media narrative surrounding the incident, stating, "We have said since the beginning of this investigation that their deaths were suspicious and raised concerns about initial reports in the news media. While the official finding puts to rest those initial reports, we hope this will give authorities in law enforcement pause before they make similar suggestions during future investigations." The families also noted that they were still awaiting results of an independent review being conducted by Massachusetts authorities. The tragic case has drawn attention to the potential dangers of faulty hotel appliances and the importance of thorough safety inspections within the hospitality industry. With an independent review still in progress, families and the public alike remain hopeful for continued accountability and improvements in safety measures to prevent such tragedies from occurring in the future. As you may know, yesterday authorities in Belize revealed that the three women died as a result of carbon monoxide poisoning. They were found unconscious in their hotel room at the Royal Cal Beach Resort on February 22nd. Jian Cho, Executive Director of the National Forensic Science Service, said Wednesday that all three women had carbon hemoglobin levels higher than 60%.
We did a screening for all commonly encountered drugs, illicit drugs, pharmaceutical medications. We also screen for carbon monoxide as well as volatile gases. We screen for things like methane, propane, butane, ethane. We also screen for pesticides, because we wanted to cover all the bases and try to rule out as many underlying intoxicants or poisons or drugs as possible. And the results indicate that the blood samples that we sent, as well as the tissue samples, did not reveal any illicit drug in the bodies of the three women. So no illegal drugs, no illicit drugs. And the results reveal that the three victims all had fatal exposure to carbon monoxide. So carbon monoxide is being revealed, or has been revealed, as the contributing or the underlying exposure that led to the acute pulmonary edema, which was the final cause of death. We don't know what levels would have existed in the room at the time of exposure. But what I can tell you is from the toxicology test that we did, which you don't measure it as ppm, you measure it as percent saturation of carbon monoxide. Our normal carbon monoxide test that is non-fatal for toxicology, you can have a normal result as high as about 3.5%, which is not fatal and you won't be sick. Smokers can have carbon monoxide levels, or carboxyhemoglobin is the technical term, saturation in their blood, up to about 8%, and they function normal if you smoke cigarettes on a regular basis. Anything above 10% is where you start to experience adverse effects of carbon monoxide exposure, headaches, nausea, etc. 40% is typically the threshold where it becomes fatal. The victims had, one of them was about, I don't recall the exact numbers, but 60%. All of them had higher than 60% carboxyhemoglobin saturation levels. One of them had as high as 80% per saturation levels, or carboxyhemoglobin, again, is what we call it. So to extrapolate that to what the ppm would be in the room at the time, that's some complicated analyses that we haven't done or would not be able to do at this time. But we can tell you that from the toxicology results, the levels were well above that 40%, which is what is considered fatal. And I'm not talking about carbon monoxide in the room. I'm talking about carbon monoxide in the bodies of the victims.
Authorities also found and tested the alcohol and gummies found in the room. THC was found in one of the items, but no illicit substances were found in the bodies of the three women, Shaw said. The U.S. Embassy in Belize has confirmed the successful deportation of Gregory Roth, a 67-year-old American fugitive wanted on 11 counts of child pornography. The embassy shared details of the operation in a post today, showcasing images of Roth being escorted by law enforcement officials on the tarmac moments before boarding a flight bound for the United States. Roth, who had been evading authorities under the alias Christopher, was apprehended last week in the coastal town of Placencia. His capture was the result of a coordinated effort between the Belizean police and the U.S. Marshals Service and the Diplomatic Security Service, highlighting a robust partnership in international law enforcement. In their statement, the embassy expressed confidence in a collaborative efforts that led to Roth's arrest, stating, "They ran, but they couldn't hide." They reaffirmed Belize's commitment as a steadfast ally in combating international crime and protecting vulnerable populations. Roth was handed over to U.S. authorities without incident and is currently in U.S. custody, where he will face prosecution for the serious charges against him. The Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association, BSCFA, is tonight voicing strong opposition to the Prime Minister's decision to remove the sugar industry portfolio from Minister Jose Abelardo Mai and place it under the Minister of State in the office of the Prime Minister, Dr. Osmond Martinez. In a letter addressed to Prime Minister John Briceño early this week, the association expressed concerns about the decision, citing that it seems to have been made with major influence from ASR. The association further argues that the decision reflects a double standard as government intervention in sugar industry matters has previously been criticized as political interference. They noted that when the BSCFA sought intervention in disputes over fair trade premium payments, ASR officials insisted that discussions should occur directly between stakeholders without external influence. Their letter adds, and we quote, "We commend you for demonstrating a special interest in the sugar industry. Hence, we therefore urge you to consider that this portfolio requires a leader who truly understands and stands up for the needs of the sugarcane farmers, someone who has demonstrated commitment to this industry and to the people who depend on it for their livelihoods. The future of our local sugarcane farmers must not be dictated solely by the profit-driven motives of multinational corporations, but by policies that respect and support the farmers who contribute so much to our country's economy," end of quote. Minister Maidi stressed has been a strong advocate for small cane farmers who produce over 90% of Belize's sugar, but often struggle against the influence of multinational corporations. In finalizing their letter, the BSCFA urged the PM to reconsider the decision, stressing that the future of Belize's sugar industry should be guided by policies that support farmers rather than corporate interest. In an interview with the Prime Minister here in Orange Walk Town today, we asked him about the BSCFA's letter and their queries. Now, while the PM acknowledges the concerns, he told us he stands by his decision, which was made for the betterment of the industry, which remains in crisis.
I am going to be kind to the BSCFA. And first of all, that they are not the Prime Minister. If Fred Ortega or any one of them to be Prime Minister, put their name on the ballot, and someday I can be the Prime Minister and make those decisions. When I make decisions in setting up a cabinet, I try to look at from different angles, so where I think I could best get, I could put the best team forward, and I believe that that's exactly what I have done. And I have the reasons why I brought the sugar industry in under my position. I want the industry is in crisis, and we have to give it the highest priority. If they can't realize that, then that the industry is in crisis, then they are the problem, because they are in crisis themselves as an association. But I don't want to get back and forth with them. I found their letter very insulting, but I will leave it as that.
Today, the Prime Minister, Honorable John Bresenio, officially handed over a significant donation of over 14,000 personal protective gear to the Northern Regional Hospital. The donation came through a collaboration with the Strand Foundation and Belizeans in the diaspora who worked to get the equipment, and the Prime Minister through this central office who got the equipment to Belize, where it will now be used at the NRH.
We are very grateful to the Strand Foundation out of Dallas. Ian Martian, Belizean from Orange Walk, who is living in Dallas. And we are very grateful to the Strand Foundation out of Dallas, along with Ian Martian, Belizean from Orange Walk, who is living in Dallas. And he got in contact with the people at the foundation. And they had 14,000 guns to be used by the doctors, by the health officials. And he got in touch with my cousin, with Renan Jr. and Estelita, asking them, hey, I could get all of the donations. Would you guys be interested? So when they called me and I checked with the minister, I said, of course they want to use it. So what we did from my end, from Orange Walk Central, we paid for the shipping for it to be able to bring it here. And now today we're passing it on to Minister Bernard as the Minister of Health, and to Felix as the administrator of the Northern Region also. We're very excited. We're very thankful to the Sean Foundation, thankful to Ian that despite the fact that he left Orange Walk a number of years, his heart is still in Orange Walk. So we are very grateful.
This donation, according to Prime Minister John Briceño, demonstrates the possibilities when Belizeans in the diaspora look out for their home and their people.
It's I think that it shows that when you create goodwill and then you have contacts with the different people outside of Belize, there are a lot of good people, there are a lot of good organizations that want to help. In many instances, they just don't know how to make the proper connection. And so I appeal to Belizeans, especially to our Belizeans living in the U.S., that anything they feel that they could be of beneficial to our citizens, to get in touch with us, to get in contact with us, and then we can then see how we could get some of the stuff here. Of course, sometimes, the things that they want to donate, they are of no use, they're junk, we can't use them. So that's when we then have to say, okay, well, no thanks, but no thanks. But I think there's still a lot of great opportunities for us to be able to get assistance from our people in the U.S.
The donation, according to Minister of Health and Wellness, Honorable Kevin Bernard, will go a long way to help the personnel at the NRH carry out their everyday duties in an effective and safe manner.
Well, definitely, Norma, as the Prime Minister said, we have to start off by thanking the Sean Foundation for this very great, generous contribution to the healthcare system. Because at the end of the day, these things go a long way. As we know, just the 140 boxes of these gongs that have been donated to the ministry can more likely be used up within 1 year. The Northern Regional Hospital, for example, does a lot of surgery. The dental unit uses these items. Our surgical room does surgeries for both Corozal and Orange Walk, and so it is a very much needed supply of items that has been donated here. So I just want to take the opportunity as a minister to thank Ian, who was able to facilitate this for us, and just as many others who have been able to contribute to the government through the ministry supplies. I think that we make sure that we utilize it in the best possible way. And at the end of the day, doctors and nurses who utilize these items will definitely appreciate the fact that we are able to get it here at Northern Regional Hospital. So for me, it is always important to highlight that we have great Belizeans who are in the diaspora, who feels that their heart is still at home, and they contribute back. Simple gesture as this is for somebody who say, I want to give back to my community in Belize and in healthcare. What is more important than healthcare, And so I really want to take the opportunity to thank them. And just as everything, I am pretty confident that, as I said, that these items will be properly used and properly utilized. And so it goes a long way.
A large majority of the donated equipment is expected to be utilized at the NRH, with a few earmarked for other facilities across the country. Earlier this year, the UD government made a decision to halt funding through the U.S. State Department and USAID. This decision has extended consequences even here in Belize, as it hassled to halt in payments from the Millennium Challenge Corporation, known as MCC, which had awarded Belize a grant of $125 million, which had been earmarked for education and energy in our country. Speaking on this matter earlier this week, Prime Minister Briceño confirmed that those payments have in fact ceased for the time being.
Well, everything is on pause. Remember, the U.S. government put all of that on pause, and they're reviewing it. USAID is a big one that was on TV worldwide, and so MCC is just one of them, and it is on pause for the time being. When we speak with the officials, the American here at the U.S. Embassy, they're saying that they are very hopeful that it will proceed, and so do I. I do believe that they will proceed with it once the dust settles down, of course,
Although the funding is temporarily passed for that project, PM Briceño says the government will make due for the time being.
As I said, it is yes and no. Yes, in the sense that it's funding that we can use, because we were looking at how we can realign the educational system, which something that Minister Fonseca had already started, that the educational system can align itself with the economy so that our young people can be, that they could be better prepared for the economy of the future, working with the teachers and training and so forth. But it was, so in that sense, yes, but no, because we were not depending on that money to run the ministry. So we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine.
Coming up next, construction of state-of-the-art pediatric wing soon to commence at the Northern Regional Hospital.
That announcement. It is with profound sadness that we announce the untimely passing of a beloved son, brother, grandson, nephew, cousin, and friend, Jaziel Corey Robinson, affectionately known as Willow, born August 27, 2021, sunset March 25, 2025. Jaziel leaves behind a legacy of love and joy, celebrated by his parents, Jazira Jewel Cayetano and Dale Corey Robinson. He is also survived by his devoted brother, Jaden Cayetano and Jace Robinson. He will be lovingly remembered by his grandparents, Sheenia and Freddie Cayetano, Sally and Randolph Hill, and Eugene and Trisha Robinson. Jaziel's spirit lives on through his uncles Josimar, Jonathan, Joshua, Jadiel, and Liam Cayetano, and his aunts Jasmine and Ariel McIntyre, Samantha, Brittany, Aliyah, and Kaylee Robinson. Funeral services will be on Sunday, March 30 at 2 p.m. at the family's residence located in the area of Blackwater Creek Trail Farm on Grant Street. Though his time with us was far too short, Jaziel's life was filled with love, laughter, and cherished moments. May his soul rest in peace and rise in glory.
On Wednesday, we shared the latest report by the Statistical Institute of Belize, which showed that the country's inflation rate went up by 1.9% in the first 2 months of this year. Now, looking at the gross domestic product in the fourth quarter of 2024, the economy grew by 7.1%. SIB reports that this growth is due to strong performances in the tertiary sector activities, contributing significantly to the overall growth, with a 10.2% rise in production, reaching $907.2 million. Key drivers included a 32% increase in accommodation and food services, fueled by a rise in tourist arrivals. The number of overnight visitors surged by 18.4%, and the cruise passenger numbers grew by 13.8%. The secondary sector also saw growth with an 8.3% increase in value, largely due to a 13.1% rise in the construction industry. The primary sector saw a decline of 5.5%, mainly due to reduced banana and livestock production, as well as a drop in marine exports. Statistician Christopher Hulse explained more.
Goods and services produced in the fourth quarter of 2024 totaled $1.43 billion. This is an increase of $94.49 million, or 7.1% when we compare it to the fourth quarter of 2023, which was at $1.33 billion. Looking at the $1.43 billion, we can see how that is spread across the three sectors with taxes. Primary contributed $157.8 million out of that $1.43 billion. Then secondary, $170.3 million. Tertiary, $907.2 million. And then taxes, $190.2 million. Since we have the fourth quarter, we can generate a preliminary estimate of goods and services produced in the year 2024 and that is giving us a total of $5.54 billion, an increase of $417.6 million, or 8.2% when we compare it to the annual GDP of 2023, which was at $5.12 billion. Similarly, we can see how that $5.54 billion was spread across the three sectors and taxes, with primary giving us $474.7 million, secondary at $756.5 million, tertiary at $3.5 billion, and taxes at $762 million.
SIB also reported that the taxes on products category rose by 3.6% from $183.6 million in the fourth quarter of 2023 to $190.2 million in the fourth quarter of 2024. If we look at external trade, imports were down 4%. Total for the month were valued at $218.4 million. The sharpest drop occurred in the mineral fuels and lubricants category, which fell by $22.3 million, largely due to reduced fuel imports. Meanwhile, food and live animals saw a significant increase, rising by $11.2 million, driven by higher imports of orange concentrate and grocery items like coffee and milk.
Starting with the merchandise imports, we have a line graph showing how imports have performed over the past 10 years for the first 2 months of January and February. Despite a current decrease in imports when compared to 2024, imports have been on an upward trend since 2021. The total merchandise imports for the first 2 months of the year amounted to $461 million, down 7.8% or $38.8 million when compared to imports for the first 2 months in 2024. Going on to the categories that contributed to this overall decrease in imports, we have the machinery and transport equipment category, who saw the steepest decline in the first 2 months of the year, falling by $27.4 million to $116 million. This is mainly due to a high-value purchase on an industrial generator made that same period last year, when imports within this category reached $143.8 million.
On the export front, Belize saw a 12.3% increase, with total exports reaching $23.3 million. Sugar was a standout performer, nearly doubling in value of $4.4 million, while marine products like lobsters and conch saw a 77% increase in earnings. Citrus products also grew significantly, up 109% to $2.3 million.
The total domestic exports for the first 2 months of 2025 amounted to $40.4 million, representing a growth of 7.7%, or $3 million, compared to the same period in 2024. Let's look at the top exported products that contributed to this overall increase in exports. The marine exports saw the largest increase, with earnings doubling during this period, rising from $3.2 million to $6.6 million. This increase is primarily driven by higher imports of whole lobsters, lobster tails, and conch. Next, sugar exports grew by nearly 50%, with a $1.8 million increase in the first 2 months of the year, climbing from $3.8 million to $5.7 million. Similarly, due to increased exports of orange concentrate and higher prices for this product, citrus exports increased by $1.7 million to $3.5 million. Lastly, molasses exports grew by $1.1 million, largely due to the timing of shipments, as there were no exports of this product recorded during the first 2 months of last year.
The Northern Regional Hospital here in Orange Walk Town will soon be equipped with a state-of-the-art pediatric wing. This project is being done through a Memorandum of Understanding signed in 2024 between the Ministry of Health and Wellness, LEAP Global Missions, and Rotary Orange Walk. With all tender procedures now completed and construction set to begin in the coming weeks, Health Minister Honorable Kevin Bernard today highlighted the importance of this project and the great benefit it will bring to the northern region.
I know that during that project had already been, the feasibility study was done, the designs were done, and then it went out to tender, and I understand that the tender now has been awarded. So a contract has been signed. I think sometime in February that was signed, and so the contractor is now engaged. I think I don't recall the name of the company that got the award. I was awarded the contract. All the due process was followed through the Ministry of Finance guidelines, of course, and so we're happy to report that the work to start the construction of the pediatric wing has already begun. I think the contractors should start to mobilize sometime this week or early next week, so that we could see that again is another milestone achievement for the people of, because that will help to be able to provide that better service for pediatrics, or the doctors, and then it free up the spacing as well that we have there, because there is some need for expansion in the surgical ward, so we could provide better service to the community. So that, again, as I said, I want to thank the government. Of course, is putting the majority of the funding through Rotary. They are also putting some of the funding, and so it's a type of collaboration and partnership that will build. That is able to allow us to be able to see this type of development that take place, and for the benefit of the Belizean people.
The construction of the pediatric wing will come at a cost of over $1 million, which is being co-funded by LEAP Global Missions and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Former United Democratic Party UDP leader Shine Barrow has handed over his diplomatic passport, ending his ability to travel diplomatically to the United States and beyond. The request came in the wake of Barrow losing his seat in the National Assembly, which disqualifies him from holding the automatic C3 diplomatic visa traditionally afforded to individuals in his former position. According to sources, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs officially instructed Barrow to surrender his passport. However, insiders indicate that he resisted at first. As of the most recent updates, Barrow has not publicly responded to requests for comment regarding the situation. The country's fiscal year is expected to officially come to a close in a few days at the end of March. And now the elections are over, Prime Minister John Briceño confirmed that all hands are on deck across all government ministries to ensure that everything is up and ready for early May, when they are expected to present the new budget in the House of Representatives.
Okay, budget, I think we'll have it ready for May. It was pretty much finished, but with the different changes, and we still had some pieces to finish up, but when election come, pretty much it never dawned on me until now, being Prime Minister, to see it's almost the entire government runs the election. So many of them were not available to do the work. So now we're finishing that off and then making the adjustments to the ministries. And on Tuesday, we're going to make a presentation to Cabinet on how the overall look. And we have everything ready for probably the second week of May, simply because the first week of May is a short week. So we'll do it the following week.
All right. And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
That announcement. It is with profound sadness that we announce the untimely passing of a beloved son, brother, grandson, nephew, cousin, and friend, Jaziel Corey Robinson, affectionately known as Willow, born August 27, 2021, sunset March 25, 2025. Jaziel leaves behind a legacy of love and joy, celebrated by his parents, Jazira Jewel Cayetano and Dale Corey Robinson. He is also survived by his devoted brother, Jaden Cayetano and Jace Robinson. He will be lovingly remembered by his grandparents, Sheenia and Freddie Cayetano, Sally Ann Randolph Hill, and Eugene and Tricia Robinson. Jaziel's spirit lives on through his uncles Josimar, Jonathan, Jeshua, Jadiel, and Liam Cayetano, and his aunts Jasmine and Ariel McIntyre, Samantha, Brittany, Aliyah, and Kaylee Robinson. Funeral services will be on Sunday, March 30 at 2 p.m. at the family's residence located in the area of Blackwater Creek Trail Farm on Grant Street. Though his time with us was far too short, Jaziel's life was filled with love, laughter, and cherished moments. May his soul rest in peace and rise in glory.
The People's Constitution Commission has officially announced the completion of its extensive recommendations, a precursor to the final report anticipated later this year. Released yesterday, the document presented a total of 167 recommendations compiled over nearly 3 years of dedicated work spanning an impressive 129 pages. As the Commission moves into the next phase of its process, stakeholders will have the opportunity to review and comment on the recommendations from March 26th to April 26th. A press release addressing those participating in the review period acknowledged that, while some of these recommendations may not enjoy unanimous support by some members of the Commissioner and others may be considered aspirational, the documents culminated 2 years and 7 months of our work to produce them. However, the announcement has not been without its critics. Caleb Orozco, a prominent member of the Commission, expressed strong disapproval in a scathing email directed to the Commission's chairman, which was also shared with the press. Orozco's correspondence highlighted significant concerns regarding the ideological underpinning of the recommendations. In his email, Orozco accused the document of being sprinkled with white Christian national ideology that is grounded in white supremacy. He argued that the recommendations adversely affect women's reproductive rights and access to sexual and reproductive health education, thereby undermining young people's freedom of expression and further marginalizing the LGBTQ community. The email further criticized the recommendations for containing religious propaganda that mirrors white conservative values in the U.S. Orozco concludes his message with a stark warning, asserting, "Chairman, I promise you that the first person who will feel my community's wrath will be you." As the Commission enters the review phase, it remains to be seen how these issues will be addressed and whether Orozco's concerns echo among other stakeholders. The upcoming month-long review period will likely be a critical time for discussions surrounding the recommendations and their implications for the community at large. The Belize Fisheries Department had received cutting-edge equipment and specialized training to enhance its deep sea surveying capabilities through a partnership with the UK government's Ocean Country Partnership Program, OCPP, and the Center for Environment, Fisheries, and Aquaculture Science. During a visit from March 17, OCPP experts worked alongside Belize Fisheries Department staff to deploy a newly developed deep water camera system. This innovative technology, designed for use in depths of up to 950 meters, offers an affordable and accessible solution for capturing high-quality video data for biodiversity and fisheries research. The new camera system, which can be easily deployed from small vessels, was developed to address critical knowledge gaps in Belize's marine protected areas, MPAs. The training conducted in Placencia included hands-on demonstrations, ensuring Belizean officials are equipped to continue surveying efforts independently. The camera system, provided as an in-kind donation, will remain with the Belize Fisheries Department for ongoing use in marine research and conservation efforts. This collaboration is part of the OCPP's broader initiative to support partner countries with technical expertise and resources to promote sustainable ocean governance. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Friday, March 28th here on Ctv3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at ctv3 News BZ. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.